Hello and welcome to another edition of Kaleidoscope on Channels Television. I'm Anne Nwawado. On the program today, we speak with the MD, CEO of Fidelity Bank, Nnamdi Okonkwo, on the contributions made by the financial institutions in developing the society. Also, my chat with the CEO of the Tony Lumelu Foundation, Ifeyiwa Ugochukwu, reveals the several initiatives made by the foundation in developing Africa. Quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Fidelity Bank is a full-fledged commercial bank with over 5 million customers. It began operations in 1988 as a merchant bank. Then in 1999, it was converted into a commercial bank. It also became a universal bank in 2001. The current enlarged Fidelity Bank is a result of a merger with the former FSB International Bank PLC and Money Bank PLC in 2005. But the financial institution takes corporate social responsibility very seriously, and thousands of people have benefited from this. Let's hear more of this from the MD CEO of Fidelity Bank, Nnamdi Okonkwo.
We believe that you should give back to the society where you do business. So for a corporate, you must be socially responsible. I'll give you an example. When you were driving here, you would have seen a lot of trading and stuff along the road. We take time to make sure, for instance, that those drainages are clean and running, etc. So what drives us actually is making sure that the society where you do business feels your impact. From day one, we chose 4 key areas of intervention concerning our corporate social responsibility. One is environment, then social welfare, education, and health. Every other thing we do is grouped into these 4 broad categories. Of course, each one has its own subsets.
How are these projects implemented?
Yeah, we are very deliberate about the implementation. So we have 4 roadmaps for implementation of our programs. The first one is what we call Fidelity Helping Hands Program. This is because it's in our DNA, and when you join Fidelity, before you spend 3 months in the bank, you would have got the bug that here we do well and do good. So our staff, even from induction, are told what we do, and there's no compulsion. So our staff in a particular location identify a worthy project, and then they contribute money voluntarily to execute that project. Whatever they contribute, the bank matches it. That's under the Fidelity Helping Hands program. The next one has to do with youth empowerment. Under youth empowerment program, it's all about, it's actually a subset of our social welfare program. It's all about identifying youth programs that will make our youth realize that they can fend for themselves, or just give them wings to fly. How does that work? Again, we identify such programs or interventions. It could be somebody that is very brilliant. It could be some identified genius somewhere who has come up with an invention. He cannot fund it. We seek out those people and support them to actually become useful to themselves. Thirdly, it's outright sponsorship by the bank, where we evaluate programs and sponsor it wholly as a bank.
Let's begin with something that affects every human on earth, which is health. What has the organization been able to do to bridge the gap in the health sector?
There's hardly any geographical region in Nigeria that Fidelity Bank's health intervention has not made some significant impact. Let me start with Niger State. In Mina General Hospital, we renovated the female and pediatric ward. If you go down to Kano, the Kwali VVF Center was renovated by Fidelity Bank. If you go down to Oka in Anambra State, we did not only renovate Regina Cheli Hospital, we furnished it. In Jos, we paid medical bills for indigent patients at Our Lady of Apostle Catholic Hospital. Coming down to South-South, specifically in Edo State, Ofunama community, we had a community outreach for eye surgery for over 100 patients. We conducted cataract eye surgeries there. And then even down here in Lagos, in Bariga specifically, we renovated the sick bay at Ayetoro Primary School. That's how deep we go.
And from the feedback you've gotten, what impact do you think that you have made on these people?
You can't even begin to imagine. You need to see the joy on the faces of these people. In fact, sometimes it brings tears to your eyes. You see people leaping for joy. People that had lost hope of ever seeing again, a simple surgery gives them sight. I mean, imagine being stuck in hospital and a bank appears and just pays your bill. I can go on and on. But if you watch, some will pray from the bottom of their hearts for the institution and its people. The impact is simply, it's not what I can just describe, but it actually encourages us to do more.
And the COVID-19 pandemic has dealt a big blow to every sector that you can think about. What has the organization done in terms of helping the fight against the coronavirus outbreak?
Truly, like as everyone knows, coronavirus just appeared from the blues and changed the way we live our lives. And as a responsible corporate, we had no choice but to join hands with others to fight the pandemic. Of course, you are aware of the central bank-led, private sector and central bank-led COVID intervention. It's no longer news that banks donated, but Fidelity, specifically speaking, we did initially 250 million as COVID team and went ahead to do an additional 300 million across states, different interventions that came up to about 600 million. But it's not even the amount to spend that's the issue. There's also the spontaneity about the expenditure. While we were worried and thinking about COVID, if you remember, there was an explosion in Abuledo, and we have high concentration of customers in trade fair, be it BBA, APT, Aspamda, these people in the midst of the challenges. A lot of them were displaced, some were homeless, some lost their shops, to the point that we had to switch from just COVID intervention to helping them come back to their feet, to even donating truckloads of food items.
What has the organization been able to do in terms of cash or kind to help improve education in Nigeria?
It has come to that point where we realize that government alone cannot do it. Government alone cannot do everything you need to do in the education sector. And that's actually why it's one of the 4 pillars of our intervention. Apart from scholarships that some of our customers have won in our promos, we deliberately look out for educational sector challenges that we can help resolve. It could be, again, renovation of buildings, supply of books. We recently partnered with a group from the US to equip a library in a village in Anambra State.
I know Fidelity Bank is interested in a cleaner environment, and I'm also guessing you have partnered with various organizations to help keep the environment clean. Tell us more about these projects that you have done.
Apart from strong collaboration with Nigerian Conservation Foundation, we're also members of the UN Global Compact, and we maintain parks and gardens across the country. In Maiduguri, in Enugu, in Lagos, in Ibadan, and in Anambra State. If you drive around, you will see parks and gardens that Fidelity solely maintains. And apart from the maintenance, you can tie this into youth empowerment as well, because those people who work there get paid. As part of our sustainability practice, we even take it down to lending. If, for instance, we're lending to a factory and the environmental sustainability principles or practices are not satisfactory, we will not disburse that loan. We have even taken it further. If you walk into any Fidelity bank, if you realize in certain banks, when you withdraw money, you're given polythene bags. But for over 12 to 15 years now, Fidelity Bank has been using biodegradable bags. If you see those paper bags, They are biodegradable. They are specifically made in a manner that is environmentally compliant, so that when you withdraw that money and finish using the paper, it's not like you fling it into some drain and it will not, be degradable. So that just tells you how seriously we take environmental practice. And as you know, due to power and electricity challenges, across 250 branches, you can imagine the kind of emission by using generators. So we've been working so hard to change our power source to renewable energy. Most ATMs now, we're using renewable energy to run those, and we'll have model branches where we'll have tried to use solar rather than generators that emit dangerous gases to the atmosphere.
So empowering the youth is not to be left only to government. I mean, organizations like your own should actually focus on youth empowerment. What has your organization done in that regard, and what impact do you think this has had on young people?
I like that question, and because across Nigeria, whenever you hear youth empowerment, people think it's about giving handouts to our youth. They say, oh, there's youth restiveness here. The youth, they don't have jobs. So somebody comes and gives them handouts. That's not empowerment. You have to teach them to do. You have to teach them to begin to earn money by themselves. So Fidelity is not going to go to communities and hand out cash, pittance to our people. So we've created platforms where we train and teach them skills. That's why we used campuses as outreach. And you're talking like 2,000 people. It lasts typically over like a week or more in each location. You teach them makeup, you teach them how to sew, you teach them, it can be carpentry, it can even be how to lay tiles, so that you don't have our neighboring country brothers coming here to do those things that our people can do. People leave school empowered that they can stand on their own. That's our idea of youth empowerment. Our team spent 2 weeks in Aba, in the shoe and leather goods market, observing what they do, observing their value chain to understand where the gaps were. And we realized that with little intervention, like buying, you won't believe that some of the equipment they need to make shoes are like 30,000 naira. And so we created a specific fund for that market. We have what we call annual SME funding link-up, where we encourage young people to come and sell their ideas. Last year, we were particularly pleased that some doctor, for instance, won, a medical doctor, but she didn't have money to set up a clinic. What does she do? She has a mobile clinic. They drive to a big market and consult right there, write prescriptions using a mobile van. And in a day, they they consult for hundreds of patients and then refer them. They are young graduates who are technology savvy. So rather than use their knowledge to commit cyber fraud, some of them even have cyber fraud academies they go to. They have names for them. But you see, Fidelity would rather you do not go to all these cyber fraud academies, but you come to Fidelity Digital Lab, where we can use your creative energy for positive activities.
Now, what are your future plans to reach out to more people, and which aspect are you going to pay more attention to?
Well, future plans, everything I've discussed, I inherited. Fidelity Bank is 32 years old. I'm the third CEO of the bank. Starting from the first CEO to the second CEO, and now to me, CSR is in our DNA. When I'm done with my tenure, my successor has already keyed in. My successor already understands our CSR philosophy. In fact, it's a requirement. You must imbibe it, you must buy it and take it to the next level, just like we expect performance to be taken to the next level. As the bank gets bigger, we also believe that our CSR play will get bigger.
When we return on the program, we'll turn our attention to another organization making great impact not only in Nigeria, but across Africa. And we're talking about the Tony Elumelu Foundation. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Kaleidoscope on Channels Television. Founded by African investor and philanthropist Tony Elumelu, the Tony Elumelu Foundation is a leading organization championing entrepreneurship in Africa. So far, the Tony Elumelu Foundation has trained, mentored, and funded over 9,000 young African entrepreneurs through its entrepreneurship programs, providing support to over 1 million Africans through its digital networking platform, TEF Connect. While I had a chat with the CEO, Mrs. Ifeyinwa Ugochukwu, I began by asking her the impact the Tony Elumelu Foundation has made since inception.
When we first started in 2010, many don't realize that the Tony Lumelu Foundation started with quite a number of programs before we went into our flagship entrepreneurship program, like the Tony and Awele Prize, which was awarded to over 130 students across Nigeria, across about 16 states in Nigeria. The best performing students in every year were awarded prizes. We also, in 2013 or 2012 thereabouts, we had a program where we gave seed capital funding to invest to an investor, a tech company called CC Hub, to invest in tech startups. CC Hub in those days was known as the Silicon Valley of Nigeria. And those startups have gone on to do amazing things. And this is what made the foundation realize that entrepreneurship was really the key to catalyzing economic growth across the country. And so in 2015, our founder launched the $100 million commitment from his family wealth to identify, mentor, train, and fund 10,000 African entrepreneurs across all 54 African countries. And I'm so proud to say that 1 out of every 3 beneficiaries are Nigerians. So to date, we have trained and funded 3,000 Nigerians across the length and breadth of Nigeria with seed capital of $5,000, mini MBA, as they like to call it, for our entrepreneurship training program, as well as mentoring from over 3,000 professionals across the globe. So it's quite an extensive entrepreneurship program.
Now, what are some of your most impressive stories? Because I know you have a lot of them, but which one can you actually point to and say, oh, we're proud we did this?
From northern Nigeria, we have Shadi. Shadi was a recipient of the Tony and Awele Award, and today, Shadi has one of the top academies in northern Nigeria. He was also sponsored by the foundation on an entrepreneurship excursion to the White House in Washington at the time. We also, through the investment we did in CC Hub, have invested in amazing tech startups, particularly Budget and Recyclers. Budget today, the founder is a technical assistant to the Nigerian Minister of Budget and National Planning. And I'm so glad to say that Bilkis, she is the CEO of Recyclers, and Recyclers is a green company that actually helps underprivileged and rural community dwellers to generate income by selling their waste. And she has been appointed to a position in the ministry of Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State. In addition, she also won one of the esteemed prizes in Europe given to her by the King of Belgium. In the Niger Delta, we have a star. He used to be a domestic help from 2004 to about 2014. And he said he was quite down and had even considered suicide. But he saw the foundation's advertisement on the television for the Tony Lumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program. He applied. He said he received the biggest shock of his life when he was accepted to the program, because he believed that in Nigeria, nothing good came to you unless you knew someone or gave someone something to get it back. And he has gone on to become a pillar in the education sector of Delta State.
What do you estimate is the amount in terms of investment that the Tony Elumelu Foundation has been able to give to Africa and even Nigeria?
That's a great question. And the total investment so far for the entrepreneurship program alone is well over $50 million. And it's so great to know that out of that, $45 million has gone into the hands of young African entrepreneurs to help them build their businesses. And this is quite new in the development sector, because we truly believe that funding in the hands of African entrepreneurs is what will solve most of Africa's problems. Now let's look at Nigeria specifically. 30% of our beneficiaries are in Nigeria. This means that $15 million has been invested in young Nigerian entrepreneurs across the 6 geopolitical zones. That's at today's exchange rate, 7 billion naira. But beyond the entrepreneurship program, the foundation has made several investments in Nigeria, particularly in 2014 when we had the really bad floods that devastated many rural areas in Nigeria. The foundation committed 2.5 billion naira to victims of the flood, as well as during Ebola. We committed $100 million during Ebola time. So the foundation has been very committed to ensuring that Nigeria, particularly in the entrepreneurship ecosystem, is given the opportunity to catalyze growth across the country.
The COVID-19 pandemic has really dealt a big blow on almost all sectors that you can possibly think about. What has the Tony Lumelu Foundation been able to do in terms of bridging the gap in the health sector, and what contribution have you also made during this COVID-19 pandemic?
And the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the world as we know it. Life may never be the same again. And what we all need to do is to look at how we can support the entire ecosystem, public sector, private sector. And so our founder, Mr. Tony Lumelu, as soon as the pandemic broke, contributed 5 billion naira to governments, both in Nigeria and Africa. So he gave 1 billion naira to the Lagos state government because of, as you know, Nigeria's epicenter for the COVID pandemic is in Lagos. He then gave 500 million naira to the Federal Capital Territory, and then 1 billion naira to the remaining 35 states. 1.5 billion naira was given to African countries. And so for us, this has gone a long way to supporting the work that the governments have been doing, and they have been doing an amazing job. In addition, we've gone on to set up toll-free telemedicine centers, because we know that people are very worried about their condition, and going into hospitals is even proving a risk. So people are able to call these numbers to make sure that they're safe.
Let's talk about the TEF event that happened last year, 2019. You had about 6 heads of state coming in for that. I'd also recall that you invited the French President Emmanuel Macron. How has all of this impacted on your organization, especially on your beneficiaries?
Most of the time, especially in the Western world, the news they get about Africa is bad news. But for a change, we're bringing good news. This is an African, born in Africa, raised in Africa, living in Africa, that is making this much impact and giving out so much from his own personal wealth to empower young African entrepreneurs. And our convenings, like the Tony Lumelu Entrepreneurship Forum, is a clear example of the power of entrepreneurship and telling a new story. So for instance, when President Macron came to Nigeria, he wanted to talk to young African entrepreneurs. And so his people reached out to the Tony Lumelu Foundation, and we convened over 1,000 Nigerian entrepreneurs who were able to have a town hall meeting with the President of France. They were able to ask him questions directly and get to hear from him. Some of them even got on stage with him. Oh, wow. And because for us, it's about giving entrepreneurs the ability to face-to-face with your policymakers, with your government leaders, to ask them, this is what we need to create an enabling environment for us. What are you going to do about it?
The Tony Lumelu Foundation will be marking its 10th year anniversary by the end of this year. What are the special events planned for this major milestone?
It is indeed a major milestone, and when we look back at the impact the foundation has had in Nigeria as well as across Africa, it is something that even our entrepreneurs are very excited to speak about the role it's played in uplifting their businesses and their communities. And unfortunately, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we will not be able to have any physical event, but there will be a virtual conference that will convene global leaders. And people can actually start registering for this virtual conference on our website, www.tonylumelufoundation.org, and of course, follow the hashtag TF@10.
So I know the economic philosophy of Capitalism. I hear Mr. Tony Lumelu always say, let me find it, He repeats that the future we want for ourselves must be one of our own making. Now tell me, what does Afro-capitalism entail?
There's an economic philosophy that states that Africa's development, Africa's economic development, rests primarily in the hands of the private sector. That it's the private sector, through strategic investments that will in key sectors and across Africa, that will transform Africa's economic landscape in order to bring about economic prosperity and social wealth.
We cannot finish this discussion without talking about women. We are very important to the society. So tell me what the Tony Lumelu Foundation has been able to do in terms of empowering women.
We have deliberately created a platform where one out of every 3 beneficiaries has to be a woman. We will not accept anything less. Very soon, I'm sure we'll go to 2 out of every 3. And just to let you know that the foundation itself is 95% women-led and run.
That's good.
So, women are key to development in Nigeria. $15 million has gone direct into the hands of African women entrepreneurs. And for Nigeria, that's $4.5 million. In addition, this year, we will be launching a program targeted at empowering 2,400 women across Africa in partnership with EU DevCo. This partnership will ensure that 2,400 women have access to over 10 million euros to shore up their businesses and ease the liquidity crunch to ensure that they continue to do business and cater to their families and their communities through the COVID-19 pandemic. Just to mention as well that part of the work that we do across Nigeria is focusing on the post-conflict regions in Nigeria. And so in 2018 and 2019, we've had particular focus in the northeastern regions of Nigeria, as well as the Niger Delta region of Nigeria, where we've gone in to ensure that we're able to empower entrepreneurs in those regions.
What's the focus of the Tony Lumelu Foundation, especially with the proliferation of digital economy? Also walk us through future plans for the foundation.
That's a great question, and that's because we always say that Africa missed the first 3 industrial revolutions and we cannot afford to miss the 4th industrial revolution, and that's the digital economy. The digital economy is absolutely critical, and we can see it from the COVID-19 pandemic, where everyone, whether you're a student, an entrepreneur, a career person, you have to be connected in order to exist. And so the Tony Lumelu Foundation in 2018 launched tefconnect.com. tefconnect.com is the largest digital online platform for African entrepreneurs. It brings together the entire entrepreneurship ecosystem. It is a gateway for African entrepreneurs to the world.
And that's Kaleidoscope for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to connect with us via social media handles scrolling on the screen. I'll see you again next time. Make sure you stay safe. I'm Anne Nwawadu.